reach, okay. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in. The toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in. Sakuri described hieroglyphs on the scroll. Kemet teacher, ancient truths in the soul. Napa the queen, her crown never bends. Wisdom in her voice, the cosmos ascends. Jabari the veteran, the bass sharp as blades. Dr. Reggie from the Bronx, history's cascade. Apostle Bible soldier, scriptures in his veins. Santana general, war cries like chain. You need tough skin, where the battle begin. Source up your information. I'm a thick ass kid. Hey, okay. The toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in. Okay. Hey, okay. The toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in. Fire in his stare. Inky undefeated, a legend beyond compare. Moses 777, numbers align. Dance for me a prophet, stardust divine. I saw the fanboy with faith in his stride. Task after Hebrews, the tide it'll ride. Each name a pillar, each voice a storm. In the temple of debate where truth is born. Strings cry out, violence wail. 808's thunder, breaking the veil. Human beatbox echoes through the fight. HOK warriors, their words ignite.
All right, y'all already know what it is. Y'all already know what it is. We got my brother Khazmik Sankofa in the building, and he's getting ready to go in on the metal netcher. 086. Let's get it in. We got 92 people in here. All right, it should be at least 90 thumbs up already. Let's like the video. Let's like it. Thumb it up. This brother getting ready to go in on the metal netcher. And we need that, man. We ain't been getting the metal netcher in a minute. Sankofa, what up, man? What it is?
Yo. Peace. Light and love. How's everything, brother Sa?
Good, man. Good. I'm just anxious to see what you got for us, man.
All right. Man, first of all, I want to say appreciation. Thank you. Appreciate light and love to the ancestors for allowing me to come up here and share this presentation with you and your audience. It's an awesome responsibility, and I take it very seriously. And I will do my best to give you my best.
You got the floor. I'll pass you the mic.
So let me go ahead and let me try to share my screen. Trying to share. Hold on 1 second. Window. All right, I'm trying to share my screen at the moment. Can you see it?
Yes, I see it. Y'all get y'all pens and paper out. Brother getting ready to go in on this.
Can they see it in the on the studio? All right, cool. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Give me a moment.
Yeah, there it is. You got it. You got
All
it.
right. So this is the sa.neter. I actually belong to a study group called Kemet here in DC, and we study the language. We're all students. We're all learning and growing and deepening our understanding of the language. So notice the title is 086. So it's not a college level course. It is a beginning level course. So after our beginning level lesson, so after this lesson, you won't have the tools to read full sentences. What you're going to have the tools to do is to engage the language. You're going to understand the fundamentals, some of the fundamentals, not all of them, some of the fundamentals on how this language operates. And then, of course, you're going to need more lessons or go into more study in order to understand it better. You can hit up other shows that go deep for hours on it. And you already know what I'm saying and who I'm talking about. And they go a lot deeper than what you're going to get tonight. What you're going to get tonight is the basic fundamentals on how to just approach the language and how to read it. All right. So my goals for this lesson is you're going to understand the history of the language. And some of this we already know because this channel has gone over this ad infinitum, right? So we're going to know the history of the language, the basic structure of the language, the types of phonograms. We're going to cover uniliterals, biliterals, triliterals. We're going to cover determinatives, phonetic complements, the direction of the reading, and basic transliteration, right? I'm not going to go into translation just because I'm not. And then if other people want to get up on the stage later and go into translating different lines and so on and so forth, we can go into that. But right now, it's just these are the seven topics that I plan on covering. Right now, my background, my intellectual heritage. I'm graduated for Howard University, class of 2012, and it was the spring of that year that I took this class from Dr. Mario Beatty. And I didn't stay on top of it, which I should have, but I revisited the language. I've been revisiting it, upping my skills on it again, right? So these are some of the resources that I suggest people use, that I've used in order to compile this presentation. The Vigus dictionary, which is like an awesome dictionary. You can get all of these in PDF. I'd recommend buying the books, but they can get all of these PDF. Just type in the name .pdf and you'll have it. The Vigus Dictionary, Fundamentals of Egyptian Grammar by Leo Depoit, and then James P. Allen, Middle Egyptian, and then a concise dictionary of Middle Egyptian, also by James P. Allen. All right. Also, if you want to learn directly, this is the online source where you can go one-on-one to understand and get it from Dr. Beatty himself. They have this whole joint, Dr. Beatty, Dr. Carr, a lot of different brothers and sisters teaching a lot of different things on narrative.com. Go ahead. That's a subscription joint. But if you really want to get it from the masters, from the feet of the master, that's where you're going to go, right? All right, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So why study sa.neter, right? It is our cultural, intellectual, and spiritual heritage to study great African cultures in general. sa.neter, you can study the language of sa.neter. It would be dope and awesome if somebody would really come out with a way of approaching another ancient African language called Nsibidi. I gave a presentation here about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, when I covered the language of Nsibidi, which is a West African. Why is this joint going back? Which is a West African language that's been in existence for over 1,000, 1,500 years, depending on, what artifacts you kind of look at, but that would be nice if we could really get somebody to come up here and talk about that, because that's also an ancient West African writing system. But this is an East African writing system. And this offering right here is made for the ancestors as well as the community at large. And for any person interested in studying and learning more about ancient Kemet, It's an opportunity to access our ancestral knowledge, right? So here we go, right? Boom, boom, boom. I already went through this. Now, to historians, the sa.neter just appeared. It was a living language until about 1000 AD. However, with the rise of the Islamic civilization, Arabic slowly replaced the Kemetic as the dominant language. Currently, it is still spoken today in the Coptic church in their liturgy. So if you have any Ethiopian churches around you, you can literally go into the church and still hear remnants of the Egyptian language being sung in their Christian songs, right? So there were several phases that the language went through. Early writing existed prior to 3500 BC, right? And so far as we can see, they only included titles and names. Now, Middle Egyptian is the classical Egyptian Commission that everybody's talking about. When people are talking about, I read Egyptian, I write the Kemetic language, so on and so forth, they're talking about Middle Egyptian, right? They're not talking about early Egyptian. We're going to look at the way that early Egyptian was constructed and see some of the reasons why we don't use it, or people don't read it. And then I'll discuss a little bit about late Egyptian and why we don't really read that as well. And so Middle Egyptian is the classical language. It's like Latin, so to speak, for the English and for the so-called Romance languages, right? Then we got late Demotic and Coptic. So late Egyptian, Demotic Egyptian, and the hieratic. I should put hieratic in that joint. All right, but hieratic and Middle Egyptian are kind of coexisted together. So the first time we see the hieroglyphs on these name tag type seals, right? They were brief labels and royal names. We can see already in this early phase the symbols and the signs already. Yeah, I know. I see the hieratic joint. The symbols and the signs already there, right? So this right here was found at the tomb UJ at Abydos. This is kind of how they label the different tombs of the early archaic period. They give them letters, so to speak, at Abydos. And so that's where these tags were found. Now, full sentences, you don't really get the full sentences until the Second Dynasty. Here you get tripling of the signs for the plurals, and then you get sacred and status-based writing, right? So this is King Din's sandal. We can see right here the Ka sign right here with the two arms to the left of the screen, the glyph raised with the fish underneath it. Here is an early, right in the middle between King Din and the person that he's smiting, so to speak, is an early representation of a shin, so to speak, where the name is. We see King Din's name. I got this on a timer. We can see King Din's name with the uniliteral, the hand for the D and the N, right? So we know that this is King Din right here. This is the sandal, and this is to the right of this person that's being hit across the head. We see a standard that looks like the standard for the 17th nome, which was 17th, 18th nome, Sapat, which was the Anubis sign, right? Then we have Narmer's mace head. Everybody's kind of heard of this. This is where we have Narmer here showcasing his victory in establishing the Kemetic nation, unifying Upper and Lower Kemet, so to speak. Now, early Egyptian tomb labels, it identified the ownership, the contents, and the foundational use of written names, like from the scorpion, so on and so forth. So here are some scenes from Fourth Dynasty reliefs. We can already see here the structure of the Kemetic language taking shape. We see them writing in columns. We see the glyphs going in the way of the living person or the living thing here already. This is in the Fourth Dynasty, right? But now when we come to the Second Dynasty with Ka Shekemwe, when we look at the writings that deal with Ka Shekemwe, the glyphs are not as organized, right? Ka Shekemwe's glyphs, you don't see them written in lines, so to speak. Here, they're a little bit disorganized, at least here. From what I can tell here, with the representation given here, we can see the early evolution of the language as it begins to be more structured. All right, here goes Egyptian tomb labels, understanding the size relationships. This is important only because I've engaged in conversations with people that want to say these are the Anunnaki who's come down here and taught us how to write and look at the size of these people. They have to be aliens or something that came and built the pyramids. And it's been some wild conversations, some seriously wild conversations, right? The Egyptians use size, the Cometians use size, the was the Remech. Other people like to say Remech, getting all technical. I really don't do that, but we can do that. The Remech would use size to represent status. That's all it is. This is the big man, the big woman. We still say that in Africa. I just had a friend from Ghana leave my house here, and when he was referring to a friend of his, he would say, "Oh, you are the big man now." You know, this is an Africanism that we can see being expressed in literature, right? This is the big man. This is the man that has more status than the smaller person. So you're gonna see this repeat itself throughout the glyphs in different areas and in different times. So that, you know, this whole, when you see the big person, aliens, and the Nephilim building the pyramids, I don't know, that's wild mythology. To me, that's wild mythology. Understand the way that humans constructed their, you know, this literature. This is humans that did this, Africans that did this, Africans that wrote this language, right? All right. So the early Egyptian legacy, it laid the foundation for the Egyptian writing tradition. It established the symbolism, created the framework, and set the precedent for hieroglyphic use in the monuments. Now, the old Egyptian, so this is, we're going to get here into the pyramid text. This is the pyramid of Unas. I particularly like this because I study this, and I have a particular theory about these hieroglyphs. I believe this to be a ritual chamber, so to speak, but that's not maybe another time I'll get into how this looks to be a ritual space, you know, but these are the pyramid texts, right? It comes from not the pyramid itself, but the temple that is attached to the pyramid. It's the temple that is attached to the pyramid, right? And these are the texts written inside. I think this is the sarcophagus chamber. Right here, this is the sarcophagus chamber, and we're looking from left to right at the entrance and the right side, the left side. Then we're looking at the west gable, so to speak. Now, the old Egyptian, here are some old Egyptian key texts. The elder from the 4th dynasty, the Uni, the elder from the 4th dynasty, the Neferma'at from the 5th dynasty. All right, so that's old Egyptian. Middle Egyptian is the standard. Middle Egyptian is the standard. Whenever somebody says, like I said earlier, whenever somebody says, I'm reading the text, I'm reading the glyphs, so on and so forth, what they're discussing is they're reading Middle Egyptian. And later on, I'll tell you and get into why that is. And I'll actually explain, you know, the whole reason why I even know this part of the conversation, right? So it retained forms from earlier phases. It has hundreds of symbols, and we'll get into that in a second, right? And we can tell that the Middle Egyptian with the coffin text came out of and developed from the pyramid text. So the teaching is that writing and technology got more advanced and developed. And so it went from the writing being only on the nobles' tombs and the tombs of the pharaohs to being to constructing coffins, and then being able to put their spiritual mythological literature inside the resting place, the coffin, so on and so forth. And then has technology and has production and industry developed more, they were able to produce papyrus on an industrialized level to such an extent that they were able to produce papyri for a large portion of their population. That's why that's talking about the development from the pyramid text to the coffin text to the Pert Imheru, right? So These are some, now what the coffin texts were, they say magical funerary spells on wooden coffins. Really, the coffin text was their spiritual literature that they really kind of, it would seem as if though they were expected that the Ak, the departed spirit, would be able to look at and to read as it returned to its body from its flight. Because the teachings of the ancient Kemites was that the Ak and the Ba flew from the body, but through the practice of the correct rituals, the Ak and the Ba were able to reunite with the body, after death. And then, it would seem as if though they would be able to read and so on and so forth, and have these spells or have this text with them. That's what it would seem. That's just my theory on that. So then we have Middle Egyptian, the Tale of Sinuhe, moral Middle Egyptian wisdom literature, which were moral and practical guidance for officials. And then the instructions of Ptah. I was going to get into the Maxim 21, how to love your wife, to show you exactly, the principle, one of the principles, African mother principles of male-female equality that we adhere to within the African context, but I didn't really go over that. All right, now late Egyptian, right? I remember years ago, and then some people have this conversation. Oh, you never, they haven't, deciphered the glyphs, right? They haven't deciphered the glyphs, so on and so forth, right? And that was really throwing me off. Like, how could somebody say this? So I actually went and spoke with Dr. Beatty, and he gave a whole lesson to me. And he said, late Egyptian 100% has not. Late Egyptian 100% has not been deciphered. And what it is this, right? So Middle Egyptian is pure Egyptian, right? Or pure Kemetic. Late Egyptian is what the priests is an effort of the priest to create more symbols to represent the sounds of the language of the invaders. So they were creating symbols for the Assyrians. They were creating symbols for the Babylonians. They were creating symbols for the Persians, the Greeks, so on and so forth. This is what is considered late Egyptian. And so there are so many different symbols there that is not 100% deciphered, right? That was the reasoning, that was the discussion that was had and that was talked to me in reference to this. And so when somebody is walking around and they're saying this hasn't been deciphered, you can say, yes, there's a portion of the glyphs that has not been deciphered. But Middle Egyptian, that conversation has left the train, left the train post already, and it's already off and running. So that's not the goal of tonight's conversation, right? Then we have Demotic, which is highly cursive and abstract. The Rosetta Stone was in Demotic. Legal documents are in Demotic. Demotic is in temple libraries. Then we get into Coptic, which is the some would say it's a syncretism. It's a syncretic language that the Christian Egyptians created in order to stop using a pagan language, so to speak. That's at least the teachings related to that, right? So what that is the Greek alphabet with Demotic characters, so on and so forth. And that's the language that I said that if you go into the Ethiopian church that's in your neighborhood, or if you in one of these, whatever, if you have Ethiopians in your city, they got a church in the neighborhood, you can go inside the church and hear the songs being sung there. All right. Boom, boom, boom. I've kind of already covered this. So it evolved as, just the natural flow of things. It's a natural way for it to evolve. And it evolved because of, interaction and exchange. Essentially, interaction and exchange always forces evolution, adaptation, mutation, evolution, so to speak, in the social, political, cultural level. That's what it does, right?
Earliest script precursors appear as commodity markers on pottery and bone tags.
Can I share my audio?
Associated with
Can everybody hear this in the chat?
Storage.
I mean, hear this.
Abydos labels display emblematic signs denoting rulers, goods, and orobin sites, connecting script to elite burial management. These symbols operate as proto-logograms, functioning beyond depiction to encode named identity. The Narma palette integrates early phonetic symbolism within royal iconography.
Oh, damn. Sai, you gotta
linking
share
script
my screen again.
formation
I stopped for
to
a second.
political consolidation. The Serek formalizes written kingship, divine oversight attached to a built enclosure, asserting centralized identity. Early writing primarily documents redistribution, quantifying goods entering palatial and mortuary supply networks. Collective signs acquire phonetic function, representing consonantal sequences.
Hey, I stopped sharing and started
imagery.
again. Can you reshare my screen?
Proto-hieroglyphic inscriptions show semantic determinatives, clarifying categories without contributing sound. These labels remain non-grammatical. They list names, quantities, and geographic markers without sentence structure. Writing emerges as an administrative instrument during state formation, encoding authority rather than language expression. Old Egyptian script is primarily monumental, restricted to elite funerary.
Nakada Third Administrative Storage.
Abydos labels display emblematic signs denoting rulers, goods, and orobin sites, connecting script to elite burial management. These symbols operate as proto-logograms, functioning beyond depiction to encode named identity. The Narma palette integrates early phonetic symbolism within royal iconography, linking script formation to political consolidation. The Serek formalizes written kingship, divine oversight attached to a built enclosure, asserting centralized identity. Early writing primarily documents redistribution, quantifying goods entering palatial and mortuary supply networks. Collective signs acquire phonetic function, representing consonantal sequences rather than referential imagery. Proto-hieroglyphic inscriptions show semantic determinatives, clarifying categories without contributing sound. These labels remain non-grammatical. They list names, quantities, and geographic markers without sentence structure. Writing emerges as an administrative instrument during state formation, encoding authority rather than language expression. Old Egyptian script is primarily monumental, restricted to elite funerary and royal contexts, rather than broad literacy. The pyramid texts constitute the earliest extensive written corpus, created exclusively for royal mortuary transformation. These inscriptions serve as ritual instruments, intended to activate transformation into an effective spirit, or Ach.
Semantic determinatives formalize classification, marking professions, actions, and places without contributing phonetic value.
Old Egyptian introduces structured verbal morphology, including the stative for states of being, and suffix conjugations for action. Plurality is expressed through the tripling of signs or strokes, a convention sustained throughout Egyptian history. Hieratic emerges as a cursive form for papyrus, enabling faster writing and increasing administrative reach. Autobiographical inscriptions record virtue and service, expanding written identity beyond royal individuals.
Scribes occupy a defined social class, controlling textual production and performing state administration.
Monumental writing frames kingship as cosmic governance, linking political authority to divine order and cosmic stability. Middle Egyptian becomes a written language as the preferred form of literature and ritual expression. Narratives display complex prose, thematic introspection, and political commentary regarding exile and loyalty. Didactic texts.
All right. So moving through that. Boom, boom, boom. So the written language of Middle Egyptian had about 500, give or take, common signs, right? So we have several types of hieroglyphs. We have ideograms, we have phonograms, and then we have determinatives, right? Now I'm getting into, I needed to lay that foundation the first before we got right into the glyphs. Now remember, like I said before, we're going to go only so far as transliteration, not translation. So there are other spaces that go further and more in depth, more more studying more of the text. But this is for a beginner's class to give you a basic understanding on how to look at the glyphs, right? So there are about 25 to 27 uniliterals, right? And I'll get into what a uniliteral is in a second. Then there are about 80 to 100 biliterals. Then there are also 20 to 30 triliterals. So after you get past that, which gives us like 100 and something odd, 150 give or take symbols, really, after you get past that, the rest are determinatives and ideograms. And then this is where the dictionary comes into play. And what is really important, and what most, at least the way that I have been taught, is that you want to really memorize the uniliterals. Not a lot of people memorize 100% all of the biliterals. People can memorize or get down some of the triliterals as well. We know triliterals, onk, nefer, so to speak. Those are kind of common triliterals. But the uniliterals is like the foundation that you're gonna have to just memorize in order to understand the language, right? So the language goes off of what's called the rebus principle, which is a sign represents sounds, not words. Like this is IB, right? This first one is IB, something like IB going somewhere, so on and so forth. Or B4. You understand? Signs represent sounds, not words. All right, like I said, there are three types of glyphs: phonograms, ideograms, and determinatives. Now, an ideogram is a glyph that represents the idea of something, like the house or mouth. And usually if the glyph represents the thing itself and not a phonogram, it will be followed by a stroke underneath it, which says, read this exactly as it shows itself. So that's what it is. Now, a phonogram represents sound. Like English writing is sound writing. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I, I, E, E, I, U, B, so on and so forth, right? Then we got a determinative, which is a picture that's added at the end of the word that does two things. Number one, it shows that the pictures in front of it are to be read as phonograms and not ideograms. And then it indicates the general idea of the word. All right. Like I said, a determinative is a picture added at the end of the word that does two things, shows the pictures in front of it are to be read as phonograms and not ideograms, and indicates the general idea of the word. So we have two words here that look like they mean the same thing, that are really spelled almost the same way. But let me see, can I mark up? Yes, I can. All right. So here are the two words. Hopefully you can see me circling this here. Here are the two words here that look like they're spelled the same way, except this sign right here, which becomes the determinative. This could also, we're going to visit something that looks very similar to this again, because this also represents something else, and I'll deal with that in one moment. But this is pert, right? Right. And so, but this is pert. This word is pert referencing seed, and this word is pert referencing emerging, right? And it is the determinatives at the back which gives you the understanding and the idea of the word, right? So I'm looking here at the chat. I don't know why. Anyway, here's C, there's emergence. Now, the determinative is also going to help you understand like the determinative, the sun, can have several different meanings depending on how it is spelled. It can be the sun, it can be day, it could be a shadow, It could be rise or it could be yesterday. These are all different words that use the sun determinative at the end of the word. So you also have to read it in context to see what it's talking about and so on and so forth. But I'm just showing you the basics of the language. Boom, boom, boom. All right. This is what I was talking about when I said earlier, right? So right here, this is the glyph for the mouth. Typically, this glyph is a unilateral for R, but it also has the single stroke, which means read it exactly as it is. But the interesting thing here as well, these are not seeds, right? These are not seeds here. This is another way that the hieroglyphs or the sa.neter would represent plurality, right? And so whenever you see this is an U. Plurality is represented with the U sound, right? Or the W. And so then this would be Ru sayings. We'll get into what this is right here. Because this is different. This glyph right here is different than this glyph. This is a unilateral. This glyph right here is a biliteral. That means new. Runu. And this right here, there's a lot of different things going on here. But this is the pert that I was talking about. This is the pert that I was talking about. This is a unilateral right here, which is M. Some people would put an E in the front of it. And these are all unilaterals with the determination for day, or with the determinative for day, which would be Heru. We'll get into this because I know I just kind of skipped over. I skipped over a lot in just this right here, just because it's kind of foundational. So I skipped over a lot. So we're going to go through that in a second. Now, the direction of the writing, right? So the text can be read 4 different ways: right to left, left to right, then right down, left down. That's it. You don't read it from the bottom up. So when you're looking at the language, when you're looking at, what you see online a lot of times is people looking at texts that are already written out, and they'll either be written in this way. But when you're actually going to the walls, when you're in Kemet, I haven't even been. I need to go. Plan on going with. I'm trying to make plans to go with Tony Browder this summer. He's got a trip planned for Kemet in August, I think it is. But when you're on the walls or the pylons in Kemet, you will see it written, this way. A lot of times. So it's good to know. Now, the way that you figure out how to read it is you look at something that is living. Look at something that is living. These are considered living glyphs, right? The direction that they face, and then you read into the glyph. You would read into the glyph. So see how that is reading into this way. So that is the general direction of the glyphs. So in reading a text like this, first of all, you are reading this right here, right? You would look at it. The first thing I would do is look at the top. I see, and really this, you don't really see this in general. This is something that I put together, FYI. So, but what you see here is that this text is split directly down the middle. I would read this side this way. Oh, you can't see that. So this side this way, and this side this way. And then I would read this and go down. All right. Also, the direction of the glyphs accompany the figures, right? So look at the way that this figure is facing. Also look at the glyphs. Look at the way this figure is facing, and then also look at the glyphs. The direction that you read the figure accompanies the human figures that are inside the drawing, inside the wall, so on and so forth, right? Another thing that we want to look at, there are 3 shapes of the glyphs, right? There are tall signs, which is the quail chick, or the tethered rope, so to speak. There are flat signs, and then there are small signs. So we're going to look at this grouping right here. And this is a symmetry that the language had to it. This is a symmetry that the language had to it. They would group tall signs together. Look at how these signs are grouped together. So when you're reading it, understand that this is not like hieratic. This isn't like they threw it together. They wrote in such a way where there was a symmetry, a niceness, a neatness, a way in which they presented it so that it had, order and structure to it, just like a language would. Notice how the tall signs are grouped together. You're going to see this consistently across. You're going to see this consistently across the space in Kemet. You're going to see tall signs grouped together. These are small signs grouped one on top of each other. This is a tall sign by itself, followed by 2 small signs grouped on top of each other. Notice the structure of the language. We can see that same structure playing itself out as it moves, if you were to look at how this is being done right here. All right, when signs of dissimilar shapes are grouped, they are regularly centered like this. So for instance, we can see in the temple wall of Karnak this same principle being played out, where everything is neatly, nicely grouped together. All right. Cursive was the hieratic, and that, almost a lot of the documents that we find, the Westcar Papyrus, the Pert and Meru, are in hieratic. Hieratic is very interesting to try to grasp. I can't read hieratic at all, but I have a basic understanding of stuff. So I'm satisfied with where I'm at. I'm learning and growing as it goes along. All right. So hieratic was used for temporary documents. Hieroglyphs are used for more permanent texts. You're going to find hieratic on papyri. You're going to find the sa.neter, the hieroglyphs on the walls. This is what has survived. All right. So this is Merer's, the brother that was involved in the building of the pyramid, the one whose diary that we read, where we can prove that the pyramids were built by the Egyptians and not by any foreigners or any extraterrestrial type of deal. So his diary shows not exactly, but it's showing, the trials and tribulations that he was going through in the process of performing his function of getting materials to build the pyramid, right? Now, another thing which is interesting, what is known today as the Proto-Hebrew script can also be found to have originated within the Kemetic, nation. Proto-Hebrew is influenced by the Kemetic script. Here at Serebit El Kadim, we see the emergence of their script along with the Kemetic script side by side. And so this is kind of a well-known fact. And some people say, we understand that, people share cultures and people, develop after another culture. People use other cultural motifs to help their culture move along. And we see this happening with the Proto-Hebrew script, or as I like to call it, the Phoenician script, because that's exactly what Proto-Hebrew is. Proto-Hebrew and Phoenician are one and the same. This is Demotic. Boom, boom, boom. We know about the decipherment, so on and so forth. This is one thing I don't think a lot of people did know: the Islamic movement to decipher the glyphs. So Abu Bakr Ahmad ibn Washia was one of the earliest Islamic scholars that approached the hieroglyphs in their attempt to translate it. Now he kind of, I mean, people, you know, say like he, of course, understood that they had some sound. There was a sound symbolism there with the hieroglyph script. So this is his work on the glyphs, ancient alphabets, and hieroglyphic characters. This is a work that he produced in the 9th century. It was translated again and updated in the early 19th century. This is me putting it into Google Translate to see what he was talking about. This is the original script on the left. That's the Google Translate on the right. All right. Boom, boom, boom. We already know that. How it was deciphered. All right. So these are the basic phonograms that we have here. We have the uniliteral, the biliteral, and the triliteral. Uniliteral, one glyph, one sound, one consonant. Biliteral, two glyph, two sounds, two consonants. Triliteral, one glyph, two sounds, two consonants. Triliteral, one glyph, three sounds, three consonants. This is what the phonograms are. All right. So this is what scholars kind of agreed upon. Transliteration is an agreed upon script that the Egyptology community has agreed to translate these symbols into after coming from the glyph, right? So the way this works is you would get the glyph, you have the transliteration then you have the understanding the symbol of the vulture, then it translates into whatever the national language is. So this could be French, Chinese, Arabic, it doesn't matter. But these first three, the whole Egyptological community will agree upon. This last one comes into the national language. So it'll look different depending on who translated and what national identity they had, right? So how this looks in the field. So here is the transliteration. We'll get through. Here is the transliteration of this saying, right? We'll get to this in a second. There's no need to do this. All right. This is the chart of the basic uniliterals, right? There are in Middle Egyptian, this chart has 27 on here, but Middle Egyptian has a roughly 25 glyphs, but the final two, the lion and the U right here, are added later. The lion glyph is something that was added during the New Kingdom era, and so this goes into that whole Israel piece right here, because this was found here, but that's not necessarily a part of the Middle Egyptian language per se. All right. So the vulture, this is the vulture. This is the transliteration of the vulture, This is the flowering reed. The transliteration's E. The double flowering reed, transliteration E. This is the arm, transliteration A. I did not say you pronounce the single stroke. This is the quail chick, U. This is the foot, B. This is a pool, B, P. The horned viper for F. The owl for M, M. The water ripple, N. The mouth, R. The house enclosure, H. Then another twisted rope, H. Then they say this is the placenta. I don't know why they say that, but that's basically where what they say. This is the placenta, K. Or K, like this is how they would use this when you would spell Kepra if you wanted to spell it out in the long form. This is an animal belly, H. The folded cloth, S. And then the door bolt, Z. The pool, Sh. The heel, K. the basket ka, the jar stand ja, the bread loaf ta, the tethered rope, the hand da, the cobra ja. All right. So in class, this is how we were learning. We go e, let me e, oo, ba, pa, fa, ma, na, ra, ha, cha, ka, sa, za, sha, ka, ga, ta, cha, da, ja. Right? That's how you would say them, so to speak. But this is a convention. This is also all coming from Champollion's work. I didn't really go over that because I figured in this channel we've all argued or seen that discussion. All right. So if you are taking notes, now this is the way I draw the vulture. This is the way I was taught to draw the vulture. So we're gonna go through it just like this. All right. First, you draw the two lines. Then you put that single stroke above the two lines. Then you go down like this. So you would do this. Right? Then you go ahead and put that underbelly there, double stroke down. That's okay? Now for the flowering reed, you would go ahead and go through these strokes. E. All right, same with this. Flowering strokes twice. Now, when they write this, they're going to write it, you're going to see it written as Y. So just FYI. This is Now, to be honest, when I draw it, I don't do this. That's what I do right here when you're drawing it. But this is the way it's done here. All right, this is ooh. This is the way I draw the quail chick. You may have your other way of doing it. This is the way I draw it here. You go down, down, bring it over like this, then go like that. Boom. That's the quail chick. And give it a little plumage, so to speak. All right. This is the foot, ba. This is pa, fa. This is how I draw the owl. Similar to the vulture, except it's a flat top head. Then you put it over here like this. Boom. And then put it like that. All right, moving on. This is simple, na. Ra, simple again. I didn't spend a lot of time on that. This is ha, very simple, half enclosure. Some people say this is the house. Tether rope. This is the way this was done in this presentation. This is the way I draw this. Looks sloppy, but that's the way I do it. The placenta again. This is the first couple of lessons in the Egyptian grammar book. I do not get into pronouns and nouns and gender and plurality in this lesson. This is a basic understanding, like I said, on how to approach the glyphs. Za, the door belt. All right, I'm gonna move through these very slowly. Kwa, if you're taking notes. King J, why don't you just come up when it's done? I'm glad you can read the glyphs, bro. I'm glad you've been studying. That's awesome. All right. Now, boom, boom, boom. In order to read this, you would look at the living glyph to read into it. And so these are the different glyphs you can identify in order to read into the glyphs. All right. Now, this is another example of glyphs that follow the living character. And that you can see the clear divide right here. These glyphs here belong to these living characters. These glyphs here belong to this living character. This living character is given adoration, of course, to the king and to the god, so to speak. All right, moving on. All right, so for a test, nobody's here. I'm looking at the time. I went a little bit over for the uniliteral, so we'll move through this fast. But when people come up, yeah, we can do this together. All right, boom, boom, boom. So if you were just in general, if you were to, translate a certain translated word, so to speak, looking at these glyphs here, we can see these are all, I chose all uniliterals, right? But I chose this one in this exercise in the book because this can make you think that this is the snake glyph, but this is actually a determinative. This would be a determinative for these words. And this would be hefaut or hefat. This would be the H, F, T, hefat. Right? Now, you could go through here and just refer back to the graph in order to transliterate or translate this. I know that there's a new program. It's not even new. People have been using it for a while. I have not yet learned how to use it. The TLA, I haven't learned how to use that yet. So I know that you can go through things a lot faster with the TLA. This is the old method. All right. Once again, all uniliterals. So we can kind of get into these exercises when the brothers or people come up, if they decide to come up. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get into that. These are some of the exercises that we go through in class or when we're, in our study group. Boom, boom, boom. Now we're going to get into the biliterals, right? So this is the chart that we use when doing the biliterals. This is kind of a complex chart. That's just the way it goes. So the way you would find, and I'll show you all how to find the biliterals using this chart. This comes directly out of James P. Allen's work. So you can get that in his work. I know I've watched people use the TLA. They probably don't even concern themselves with this style, this method any longer. This is the method that I use without the computer, or I've used, right? Then here are some triliterals, 1 sign, 3 sounds. And here's a list of all the triliterals, right? Like I said, there's about 25 to 27 uniliterals, 80 to 100 biliterals, 20 to 30 triliterals. Now, here is something else that is needed to be known, which is the phonetic complements. You're going to get the phonetic complements when you get biliterals and triliterals, right? Remember, biliterals, 1 sign, 2 sounds, or even 2 glyphs. Triliterals, 1 sign, 3 glyphs. But then you're going to have something here called the phonetic complement. Some people say that they put the phonetic complement there for aesthetic reasons. I can only tell you what I've been taught. I don't know exactly why they have the phonetic complement, but you do find the phonetic complement inside when you're reading the glyphs. Boom, boom, boom. All right. here is the general structure of how you would use a phonetic complement. So a phonetic complement is a uniliteral that is going to be in front of or behind a biliteral or triliteral, right? So here you would have the biliteral, right? This is one glyph. And this glyph here is going to be the unilateral attached to it. You have an AB plus B structure. Or you would have the unilateral or triliteral here with the biliteral or triliteral here with the unilateral in the front and a unilateral in the back, right? This is an AABB structure. All right. So this is the word hen. Now, if you didn't have the principle of the phonetic complement, this would look like this, right? This is the unilateral for H. This is a biliteral for H, N, and this is a unilateral for N. So you would have hen, right? When you transliterate this, you would cross these out and you would just be left with hen. All right, that's the way the phonetic complement principle works. All right, so here is the word ha. This is, so like I said, I will show you how to read this graph, right? You would find the symbol, right? If you're looking for a word or looking for the meaning of a word, or you're actually there on the ground in Egypt, you got your dictionary with you, so on and so forth. You see these words up on the walls. You would look using this graph, you would try to find the picture. This is a picture of a type of fish. You would see you would read over the in this graph, the letters to the left go in the front. So this would be H, and then the letter to the top goes second, ha, right? Now we see that there's a unilateral here, the A for ha already. So this would be crossed out here, and then it would just be ha. All right, I'm almost done here. Let me see. All right, now, same principle, same dynamic, same structure, approaching it the same way. Look for this sign here. It begins here. I've already basically done the work for you, but just showing you the structure of how to do this, right? So this is na. This is an ABB structure, right? This glyph here is the phonetic complement. This right here, just because it follows this glyph, it's the phonetic complement principle doesn't work like if there's two, both of them cross out. It's just the first unilateral after the biliteral or triliteral gets eliminated. That's the way that principle works. And that's how it works inside the language. So when you're translating this, it wouldn't be aabub, it would be ab, right? This is the final transliteration part of it, and you would cross these out. This would be mir and not mir, because this is the biliteral for mer, and this is the unilateral M, and then the mouth glyph for R. All right, here is the glyph for imun or amun, right? The biliteral. This is the MN biliteral, min, and then the E right here, and then the glyph. So this is an A, B plus B structure. All right, this is Hazat. So this is, I would find this glyph here. So H would be first. Then I would look to above, it's a Z. So Huz. So I see that there's already an H in front of it. And then there's a second Z here, the door bolt sign plus the T. I would cross both of these glyphs out, and it would come down to represent Hazat. All right. So that same principle, I see I'm already an hour and a half in. Basically, that is it for the most part. Everything else is going off of that same principle. Oh, the last thing, the alphabetical order. This is why it's important to learn this chart, because the dictionaries are in the order of this chart. So this is the earlier I showed you the concise dictionary of Middle Egyptian. I just took screenshots of the beginning of each sections of the dictionary, and each section of the dictionary begins with the uniliterals. So if you want to know how to look up a word and you see that the word begins with one of the uniliterals, it's gonna, typically it does, or even if it doesn't, if it's a biliteral, it's gonna begin with one of the letters from the chart. This is the alphabetical order that you would look it up in the dictionary as. So, and with that, that's it. All right, Sa, I'm finished. If you're still there, brother.
All right. I'm still here. I was here for it all. I was just sitting in the back.
All right.
Checking it out. All right. Line. See who would like to have any questions for you. Is that all right?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
All right. So family, we are now in open season. I'm gonna open up the line. See if y'all have any questions for the brother. Apostle, you first. You've been here, sitting in the back with me all this time.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure when he said that, I want to clear up what he was saying about the prototype Hebrew prototype basically being the same as the sa.neter. Is that what you said?
No. Influenced. Proto-Sinaitic.
Oh, influenced?
Yeah.
So they're big on influence. In other words, you're saying that unless the sa.neter existed, Hebrew would not have existed?
Not necessarily. But in the Proto-Sinaitic script, we can see that they are using some of the hieroglyphs inside.
How many?
Script. Oh, I don't know. We can get to that.
Not that many. If I showed you Paleo Hebrew right now, some of the glyphs might look, or the letters might look the same, but they're definitely not pronounced the same. They don't mean the same. They are like, there's no O in Paleo Hebrew.
There's no O in Egyptian.
In Paleo Hebrew. There's no U in Paleo Hebrew. It does not, there's no E in Paleo Hebrew. None of those sounds are in Paleo, and they're all short letters. There's no long letters pronounced in Paleo Hebrew. You are aware of that, right?
Brother Apostle, that's fine with me. I'm just saying that was very interesting.
Are you aware of that? If you showed me sa.neter and I showed you Paleo Hebrew, they will not be the same.
If I could do research on this conversation a little bit more to be more informed about it. I'm not really attached to that part of the conversation. But I do appreciate you're saying at least there are some letters that are the same.
They look the
have
same.
different meanings. Yeah, and that's the only part of the that's the only thing. I'm not saying that, you know what? I said something specifically to get you all up here, because I said it looks like Paleo Hebrew is Phoenician. That's what
it is Phoenician.
Yeah, so the Phoenicians and Paleo Hebrew,
but
the Hebrews look like they just grabbed the Phoenician script. That's the part that was there.
Phoenician.
Yeah.
The Hebrews are Phoenician.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Phoenician means seaworthy.
All right. So that's
Those
an
are people that
interesting
live by the
conversation.
sea.
Because
All
then what
the
is the
Phoenicians.
relationship? What would be the relationship between the Hebrews and Hannibal?
Who?
Hannibal Baraka.
Yeah, Hannibal is a Phoenician.
Yeah.
He's seaworthy. But so I mean, Galilee is right on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so I mean, Canaan was Phoenician.
Phoenician is a Greek word.
Yeah, I mean, so there's the word Phoenician can apply to 5 different states or 5 different countrymen in that area that were pronounced to be able to go out into the ocean if they choose.
Hey, let me say this. Apostle, you know why you would never be a good teacher and you would never learn nothing? And you will always be stuck in a King James in the Bible. And this is not I'm being serious. It's because you look at it as a believer. See, when you look at it when you look at the Bible as just a non-biased person, you are able to look and see the flaws and see all the crazy stuff and see where it came out of Kemet from. Because I'm going to go on the record and say it if my man Sankofa don't say it. But you would not have Hebrew writing if it wasn't for the sa.neter.
Okay.
You would not have that. You wouldn't even have Judaism. You wouldn't even have the Hebrews, the religion. So I'm going to go on the record and I'm going to say it if my man Sankofa don't want to say it.
You know how many times?
Hold up, brother. I'm talking.
Okay,
I'm talking.
I understand.
And that goes for the Christians, and that goes for the Muslims. All of these religious faith right now. So I'll go on record and say that.
All right, and I disagree heartily with you because if you're going to have the people, they're going to have a language. I don't care if they're Canaanites. Canaanites is going to have a language. If they're Amorites, the Amorites is going to have. If they're Hikakasu going to have a language. They're going to have a way of communicating. I don't care who you are or what you are. I don't know. I couldn't count the many times that Sankofa said, I believe in his presentation. I believe this. I believe that. But I know you guys, that goes over your head because you don't want to associate the fact that we all have a belief. Even you, sa.neter, you got a belief. What you just said about me, that's your personal belief. It's wrong, but that's your belief. It's wrong. I know the flaws in the King James Bible. I know there's flaws.
All right. Mike, Reggie was here first, King James.
You don't have to do that with me, man.
Okay, brother.
I'll be the first to tell you that, and you know it.
It's not my belief. It's what I know. Apostle. I don't believe it.
You don't know nothing about me.
Hold on, Apostle.
You know I sent you that donation yesterday?
Yes, I see the $10. I do appreciate it. Yes, hell yeah. But that's not going to stop me from teaching, brother.
It ain't got nothing to do with teaching.
And I appreciate it. Believe that.
You just shared your opinion.
Brother Apostle.
I can't help it, man. Every time I come up here to talk, he interferes. He's not going to do that too much.
Let's talk about language. Let's talk about the language, man. The presentation. You did address me in a question you had about my presentation, and you actually made me think about something I do need to go and research more, like how many letters are used by the Proto-Sinaitic script. So that's something I do need to study. So I appreciate that conversation.
I can tell you the water sign.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you said that represented.
That's the N.
That's the N. See, that's the M. And that's mayam, water, mayam. Like the ba. The second letter
are the same.
Your ba represents the soul. But the ba represents the tent in Hebrew. Abada, abaga, da, ha, ya, wa. So that's the way the Hebrew goes. The the ba, the ga, the camel, the da, the door, the ha, the mountain. The why?
All right, Apostle. Let me bring on Reggie. Reggie, Dr. Reg, let's get it. Do you have a question for Khazmik, Reggie?
Well, my question would be is who did you learn the MDW from?
Dr. Beatty.
Dr. Mario Beatty. And so that's the way Dr. Mario Beatty teaches it.
Yes.
He teaches it like that. Interesting. And so you took it in a semester?
Correct.
You took it in a semester. Okay, so he did go through dictionaries. What dictionaries do you use?
Well, for the most part, he just used the book.
King J.
He just used what?
He just used the book, if I can remember correctly.
Which book? He used Faulkner. He used Hodge. He used.
Did you see my presentation, Brother Reggie, or did you jump in at a different time?
Yeah, I jumped in probably missed about a half an hour.
Okay, so in the beginning, I gave the dictionary Middle Egyptian by, at the moment I'm just drawing a blank, but it's Middle Egyptian that he used the book.
Yeah, Middle Egyptian is Faulkner, but he used Gardner's grammar book, right?
No.
James P. Allen's James P. Allen's book. Hello?
Yeah, I said no.
Well, so I'm just trying to figure out.
Reggie. You and I don't get along. So why don't you cut the questions and get to the real
Oh, no,
questions?
I wait. Okay.
Hey, I ain't know y'all don't get along.
No,
I didn't know that catch me on something.
I didn't know that either. I'm just asking you.
Every time we talk, he's always trying to be sneaky. Just get to the question, brother. Like, do your real thing. Do everything these questions are leading up to. Get to the last one.
Okay, so since you told me that we don't get along, and I didn't think that we ever got along, right? Okay, so now I know that. I was just asking you general questions so that I could ask another question. But you said I don't get along with you?
Brother Reggie, the funny thing is, like, of all, like, the times that we've interacted, you've been at least antagonistic in reference to our conversations. Like, we can go online and just bring up the different videos, and your response to me is antagonistic, which is really awkward because in the scholastic field, we should all be looking to help each other evolve and learn more. Okay. But there seems to be some sort of like, let me show that you are not what you are speaking of. Which is kind of like, all right, let's get rid of that. Like, that's really
wait, sa.neter, I got to deal with this. So let's start afresh. Act like you just did not know me because I didn't come on to do any of the stuff that you was asking. I didn't do that, but you already have some ideas about me, so you're not practicing ma'at. Because I didn't come, I just simply asked you some basic questions, and then, yes, I told you I came in about a half an hour because I was on another show that you wasn't on the show. So I spent some significant time on the panel, right? So I just generally wanted to know what tools were you using. What I was going to offer you, good brother, is just to show you the TLA real quick because it's really easy.
I don't know how to use that. Yeah, I don't know how to use the TLA. I've tried and I get confused. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so
that's crazy.
Let me just pull up the TLA.
What's crazy, King J?
Yeah.
He's not familiar with the TLA.
Wait, Brother Reggie.
All right, that's not crazy. He's learning, brother. He's teaching, brother.
Okay.
On,
Brother Sankofa, right? The TLA is really easy. So I'm just gonna share my screen, right? Because I didn't start that the way that you think I started. There was other people in the chat. I didn't start that way. I'm really interested in the language, right? So you can Google TLA, but the one that you want is the TLA digital. That's the one that you want. You want the TLA digital. So if I ultimately, if I start here, this is where I should start, the TLA digital. Okay. Right. So this is the one that you want to use right now. There's an older one, but this is a standard one. And then when you get to this page, well, then it may ask you for username and password. If the username and password comes up, it's guest and guest, right? Because it's very open.
Okay.
Right. But I've been there several times. So then it says search the TLA. So that's what you want to use. Okay, so when you get to search the TLA, you see this, and I won't be long because it's pretty simple. You have a choice to put in the transliteration, but you gotta note whether or not you're using a Unicode or the manual decodage. So sometimes we work between the two, so we would have to try a couple of times. The other way that you might do it is through the hieroglyphs. That's new. So you can put in the hieroglyphs, but that's harder. Or you can go all the way down to transliteration. So with transliteration, let's say we say elephant, right? Which is there because it gave you a hint. And then we just click enter. And then we say search for lemma. So then what happens is that the TLA now gives you the word, and there's and sometimes there's different meanings for words, and you pick the one that you want to deal with. So in this case, let's just say it's elephant right here, okay? And this one with the kind of this mark here, that means kind of pretty much the root word. But for the word, for example, elephant, which we know is Abu, then over here is going to give you textual sources where Abu, which the TLA, now the TLA is not complete, right? It's not complete. So so then what happens, good brother Sankofa, right, is going to find the sentences that Abu is in. And usually it's quicker. I don't know why my computer is spinning. I'll try it again. But because I do have internet service. And then you will find this. Great. So then this is all right. So then there'll be somebody got their mic open. So thank you. So we will find sentences that have Abu in it, right? And so as you see the word Abu here, and then it will give you the sentence right here of a translation of the text that has it. And so sometimes we're looking for a particular text, and we would scroll down to the particular text. And this is one that my brother Hassan Cobb would love because it has the Hekanu oil, the Sheshet incense, the panther skins, the elephant tusk, throw sticks. And so now we probably know, because you've read many of the texts, we would probably think that we were talking about the eloquent peasant right here. This may be because these are things that that he packed in his on his donkey, and then so on and so forth. So I don't want to keep you long. Maybe I could come back and give you some other illustrations. Now, if it's in German, like this one is, you just click the screen and you go translate to English. And so sometimes what happens, it converts to, okay, so now it converted to English. So I didn't want to stop your presentation, but I thought that I could help you really quick with the TLA. And then that would help you in your own work. And so sometimes you actually want to work with real text. So I will stop now. I'll let other people, but I came in peace just to say, well, I could help you real quick with the TLA. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. That's it.
Hey, Sai, show that picture real quick, man.
Sankofa, you're muted.
Now put brother Sankofa up there real quick. Yo, that's King Lalibela, Ethiopia, man. I think brother Sankofa is the return of King Lalibela, man. They look the same to me, man. And
back to the presentation.
Yeah. Am I the only one that see the result?
Sankofa, I did have some contention with turn it down, baby. With one of the points that I brought up in the chat with you in regards to when you brought up the R with the mouth, right? And you mentioned the three dots underneath for the plurality as the single stroke, right? And you pronounced
no, wait. The 3 dots represent plurality.
Right. But you do know that there's still single strokes that aren't pronounced, right?
That's correct. So I think you might have
either
I spoke too fast or something else. The 3 dots represents plurality. The single stroke.
You said that, but you also pronounced it. You said this is the W. You said it's pronounced as a U.
Not the single stroke. The single stroke is not a W. I wouldn't say that.
You did. You wrote it as RW.
Right, but the W is for the plurality of the dots, not for the single stroke.
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't represent the single. You don't represent the single stroke.
So listen. You don't pronounce the single stroke. You don't. So listen.
Hey, hold on, King J, hold on, because I'm looking at something here. Spirit always bring me something. The spirit of the ancestors always bringing me stuff.
Go ahead.
And that is, even when we're not debating each other, when a brother or sister will come on and do a presentation, it's like we tune in just to look for the flaw so that we could say, brother, that right there, I got you on this right here. That don't go together, brother. That was wrong. And that it's like, that's what we look for. Do you agree, King J?
Well, I think that we all are trying to learn.
You're looking at the presentation so that you could say, oh, no, he wrong on that one. I got him on this one.
No, I was looking at the presentation to learn, but it was hard to learn. He was saying so much stuff that was incorrect. So I wanted to correct it. I mean, I just wanted to bring it to his attention because you don't pronounce the determinative. And he wrote the mouth as an R. So just for clarity, the mouth is pronounced as ra or a ru, right? Just without the single stroke. You pronounce mouth as.
Hey, hold on for a minute. We got one of the grandmasters in the building. Smash, hit the link, man. Bring your monkey ass up in here, Smash. You ain't been in here in a minute, brother.
We on the panel with all the
little brother, Smash. Come on in.
For sure. So they can correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't pronounce the single stroke at all. It's the Z2 glyph. And so the 3 dots are representing plurality, but it's not spoken. It just indicates that it is the mouth. Correct? But you wrote it as R, and then you said, well, these 3 dots is interesting. If they make a U sound, they're pronounced as a W, and you wrote RW. So I wrote that's what caught my attention with your presentation. So I just wanted, if you're teaching, just did you not know that you don't determinatives aren't pronounced?
I know determinatives aren't pronounced.
Okay. That's good. You learning the metal netter, Joe. That's good.
So
yeah.
But now here's an interesting thing. You said so many things that I was saying. So besides that one thing, what else did I say that was incorrect?
A few things. It alludes to what Brother Reggie was hinting at, but you deflected and gave him a straw man and made it personal attack when he was just really wondering where are you learning this from, because that's why he asked you who's your teacher, because that's not what what I've been taught. And maybe you might want to jump in the Smash Rockwell class or something, jump in the dojo and sharpen up. But I've never really heard the teachings that you taught.
Now, I think in my presentation I said the determinatives tell you that the glyphs in front of it are to be read as phonograms. I don't think I ever said you pronounce a determinative.
Well, you actually did, brother, and you wrote it RW.
Well, that rule thing, okay, you got the one, but you said, and I'll accept the correction on that. That's fine. But what I am interested in is the multiple mistakes I made.
Well,
that I am interested in. But if I made the one mistake and you are making it and blowing it out of proportion,
well, maybe you can go back to Brother Reggie and he can tell you the other ones that he might have caught.
Nah. Let me move on. Hey, Smash, are you there, brother?
I would never do that.
Hold on, Reggie. Hold on.
But wait, I'll just say this. I would never do that when someone is teaching meta netter unless it was totally wrong. But there's people who teach it differently. So I was just trying to assess where it was coming from. But with the meta netter, you have to understand that I will always be a helpful and assistant and I just wanted to help if I could. But Smash Rockwell is on, so I'm a.
All right. Hey, Smash, how much did you see? Did you watch anything?
I seen a little bit. I more or less was in the traffic. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. Talk about it.
I was in the traffic, but I just commend the brother for trying to learn it. Like, we still trying to learn it too, so we all make mistakes.
Right.
I know some of the younger students are more eager to point out mistakes, but I just want to commend you for your attempt. You feel me? And shout out, keep tapping in and keep learning.
Appreciation, family.
Hey, Khazmik, are you familiar with Smash channel?
Yeah. I'm familiar with Smash.
Oh, okay. All right. That's cool. Yeah. All right. That's what's up. Let me bring in Asar and Ka. What up, Asar?
Big brothers, what's going on? Man.
Your mic is low too, Asar.
Uh-oh. Can y'all hear me a little better?
Yep.
Okay. I'm in my truck right now. That $4,000 is calling. It keep calling. All right. So, yeah, I thought you did some excellent work today. Not bad at all. Let me back you on a couple things. Our brother mentioned the Hebrew language. He has to understand Gunther Dacker has already pointed out that at the time they found the Paleo-Canaanite alphabet, which Hebrews continue to claim as Paleo-Hebrew. When they found that alphabet, they already found a set of tax receipts from ancient Kemet. So you would tell me which would come before.
Your mic is real low too, Asar.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me a little better now?
Oh, you probably need to go out and come back in because I could barely hear you.
Yeah, he just went out. Hey, Immortal Dragon, what's up, man? What you up to? Unmute yourself, Immortal Dragon.
There we go. I got you.
What's up, man? You into the metal?
Yeah, I've been tuning in on Smash this thing a lot.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad. I'm gonna hit the panel more next year after I finish my thing, but I just wanted to help Sankofa a little bit if you would allow me.
Yes, go ahead, brother.
That's cool. All right. I didn't have a problem with the history thing. Was cool. Learning from the old, middle, new, late, demotic, etc. I think that was fine. I think showing the text too early was a little bit rushed. Maybe if I could share my screen real quick. Let me know if you could see that.
Yeah, we can see it. It's up there. Make
All
it
right.
bigger. Pause.
2 seconds. How's that? I can't tell on your side.
Yep, that's good.
All right, cool. So after you did the demotic stuff and all the history thing, which was good, I think showing the walls and stuff was a little too much. I think you should have just went base into the uniliterals. Am I saying that right? Sorry. Still a little bad on this, but you know what I'm saying? Like going through basically the bottom barrel of the alphabet, if you want to call it an alphabet, which it's not. But yeah, we could start with the alphabet, whatever. I think that would have been better just to get the baseline through and then go back to the video thing, which would have been good, and then swap back to the biliterals. This is Hoch's book that I have open right now. Let me zoom out a little bit. After that, and then lesson 2 is like the biliteral stuff and then the determinatives and stuff like that. I think it would have been good off of that. But overall, I think it was good. It was just felt rushed. And you rushed through the uniliteral thing. I think that was kind of, I think you could have went back and did that a smidge better. But everything else was fine. How do I unshare this?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it definitely, I mean, you know, if you know the lesson, I did like 3 or 4 lessons in an hour and a half. So no,
yeah, I was here the whole time. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, my first almost 2 weeks was just what I just went through, you know, when I was in class. So I rushed it, but I mean, it's online.
Well, you know, Sankofa, you know, this is good criticism though, because this will make you better. You know what I'm saying? Make you better. So,
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
nothing negative. I just
you're all learning. You're still learning. You never stop learning. Reggie is still learning. King J is still learning. You know, Smash is still learning. You know.
You know, so
Apostle is still learning.
when I first got to Howard, right, I went and spoke with Dr. Carr, and was all starstruck or whatnot. But I asked him, can you read the glyphs? He was like, well, if I learned it a long time ago, I just need to pick it back up. It's the same thing. Unless you kind of lose it, some of the stuff goes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, unless you kind of use it, some of the stuff goes. So it's just a matter of just engagement, and then really kind of like being inspired by you, Dr. Reggie, being inspired by Smash to really be like, okay, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have it in my repertoire. I don't use it because I'm not running around every day using it. I work by and large. You know what I'm saying? But being inspired by Reggie, being inspired definitely by Smash, being inspired by Nsayam Ka, I'm like, yo, I got something. Let me work on what I got, share what I got, and grow from what it is. That's basically the spirit it's in.
Understandable. All right. Thank you for having me up here. I'm going to drop off and listen.
All right. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Apostle? One day, Apostle, I might let you come up and break down your Hebrew. Abuya. Abuya.
For something, and I would like to show it.
Say that again?
I was just looking for something.
We're here to learn the meta-nature. We're not here to learn.
Yeah, we're doing the meta-nature right now.
We're here to learn the meta-nature. We're not here to learn that.
Hey, stop, man.
We're not here. This is not your show, man.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on, please. Apostle, what are you showing? The meta-nature?
No, I don't. I don't know nothing about the meta-nature.
Oh yeah, well that's what we're dealing with today, not the Hebrew. That's why I said you could come on one day, tomorrow and break down your Hebrew.
I did that before already.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Did a masterful job.
Appreciate you, family. Dr. Reggie, I would like to. The only reason I said what I said because it seemed like it's always been you were trying to prove me to be something. Like, we spoke when you had Bonacci up there talking. It was kind of contentious. We spoke when you were talking about Dr. Browder on the Titans channel, and it was contentious. So that's all. I'm just going based on history. Sorry about that, brother. That's just historically our interaction.
No, first of all, so it may not be contention with you. It may be I'm dealing with something else. Baba Bonacci is a Baba. He's my Baba, right? I respect him, and we talk. And if you know Baba Bonacci, he could be rough, right? So you got to be careful with him. He's a rough dude. And so if you have a point, sometimes you have to fight for your point. And I'm of a different age group, right? So I'm gonna fight for my point. Now, what's the other person?
Dr. Browder, not Dr., but Tony Browder. It was on. Yeah,
well, I don't know. Tony Browder is loved by many. I have some issues about something that happened in our community that I did. Well, one thing he was saying that the Guillaume symbol was in
Guillaume symbol?
The Guillaume symbol or the Sankofa symbol, and he said that that is in West Africa. But he found it in the Egyptian temple, and I disagreed. Right? I just disagree that those two are that similar. So maybe it was something within that. But I met you personally. I never talked bad. Right? I disagree with some people who the way the Kemetics teach, rather, because they don't teach necessarily the meta-nature to the public, right? But it had nothing to do with you. So I was really surprised. And at the same time, I'm usually helpful when it comes to the culture. Everybody knows that, right? If I couldn't, for example, for Kemet on trial, I had to go to California and get Smash Rockwell because I thought that we would lose if we didn't have a great young meta-nature teacher who is fast. Right. So everybody knows that I'm helpful. I disagree with Jabari, but when I disagree with Jabari, it's to Brother Jabari, and we've been arguing for 25 years. So that's nothing. We've been arguing for 25 years, and I've been doing, my whole thing is I went to Kemet in 87, right? So if I have a disagreement and I have great teachers, right, then if you don't want to listen to my agreements, then fine. But don't be putting up, not you, Sankofa, but don't put up no meta-netter and don't expect King J or Son Cobb, Brother Reggie to read it. Don't do that. Not you. I'm saying anybody. So if I suspected you over here and you're not reading, the meta-netter is right there and you're not reading it, I'm gonna say something. But it had nothing to do with you. So I'm like I just said, let's start over. Let's move on. All right. Let's move on. Because I thought that I could understand everything that you said. No problem. Just different teaching methods. So you came on to teach a method, right? Now, King J, he has a method, right? We'll find out what his method is. Smash Rockwell has a method. He teaches all the time, right? So sometimes what we do is we look at someone's method, and I was just trying to figure out how was this taught. My course was with Dr. Ricchetti. I'm not saying it's any better or but it was earlier. It was my course was in 85, and she taught with Faulkner for concise for grammar. She taught with grammar was Gardner, Faulkner was for dictionary. And those are our main two books plus her notes, right? And that's how I learned. And then I had to relearn later. No problem. Let's continue. Let's continue. All right.
No doubt. All right.
I have a question.
Now, hold on, Sankofa.
What's happening?
I don't know if you've seen the Mount Rushmore yet, or the Titans, but I don't know if you've seen the Mount Rushmore or the Titans. But here they go right here, brother. I don't know if you saw this, but here they go. The best of the best.
You what's going on? Yes, sir.
And in spite of the gentrification that's happening,
yes,
our ancestors is immortalized here at this spot. So it doesn't matter who walks across here.
I bring you the best of the best right here. The best top scholars of the meta-netter.
They have to remember our ancestors.
That's right.
Because it's etched.
That's right.
It's on the signs. It's on the buildings. That's right. It's on the street.
That's right. That's right.
That makes it powerful.
And in some ways, I even think of it this way. Regardless of what is happening in Harlem now, the reality is that everyone regards this as the center of Central Harlem, right here, on the street, one of the few streets in Manhattan that goes river to river. There's a reason why this is prized territory, why we are being pushed out. There's a reason. But for us to stand here in the center and recognize one of our greats, who, if he was still here in physical form, would be around here someplace, just walking around, being with the people. This is a powerful day, a very powerful day. Did you want to add something, Dr. Beatty?
A name that we didn't mention in the ceremony, or I'll say more about at the National Black Theater, is George M. James. His name wasn't mentioned today, but it should have been mentioned, and I'm sorry I didn't mention it, because that was one of the inspirations for Dr. Ben's work. And it's actually one of the inspirations, I have not said this before, but it's one of the inspirations for my work. And so if you look at my early work, in terms of this, I was trying to look for the hard evidence of a mystery system in Kemet. And so I was studying concepts, in Kemet around this.
Oh, dang, I was hella interested in that.
Apostle, you don't know who these people are, huh?
I know.
These are the of all champions right here, Apostle.
Huh?
These are the champs of all champs.
I recognize 3 of them.
Means black.
The one on the end I don't recognize.
Unquestionably. Doesn't mean
And was substituting for humanity that preceded that.
I would like to ask a question for all 4 of y'all scholars. There's some controversy going on about the word Kemet, meaning black now. Some people saying Kemet don't mean black. Some people saying Kemet do mean black. Now that I got 4 of y'all scholars here, I would like for y'all to address that. Starting with you, my brother, and then we're going to go with the brother.
Kemet unquestionably means black. Unquestionably. Doesn't mean wetland. But let me say this. Many words in Kemet in the sa.neter has several meanings.
Right.
But the meanings that our ancestors used it was to empower us, and it was connected to the earth. It was connected to this blackness of the universe. And if we know that 95% of the universe is a state of blackness.
Absolutely.
Of course, we had a very vigorous debate on this issue at our ASCAT conference. And myself and Brother Reggie Mabry and Asar Imhotep and others also, Brother Sanjeti, respect their work. So we had a very...
Mario Beatty called out Reggie Mabry. All right. Okay, Reggie. Okay, Reggie's known all over here when it comes to this sa.neter.
Very vigorous debate on this issue. In some sense, it is complex, but I felt like we were rehearsing. I'll give you what Dr. Obinga said about this issue when I talked to him. And Dr. Obinga says that we're making noise for nothing. Those were his exact words. We're making noise for nothing because the question has already been answered. You know, and I, think that this question has been answered by Sheikh Anta Diop, by Dr. Ben, and there is nothing that we can say above and beyond that, which is why in my presentation, their work stands. Yeah. The only thing that I attempted to do in my presentation was to historically contextualize when it comes into being. And it comes into being hardcore in the cauldron of the first intermediate period. And it's a very unstable political period in Kemet. And it's understandable why it comes into being, a unified concept of a nation. Why it comes into being at that moment where before they did not have that.
Quick question related to that. And can any...
Herman always be trying to clout chase when he with me, man. Herman always clout chasing, boy.
Scholarship, however in depth and unquestioned, can it ever be of use to a people without a fixed ideology? And if there is a fixed ideology needed for all of that scholarship to benefit the people, what is that fixed ideology that's going to, move us forward? Yeah. Beyond the cultural aspects of knowing this.
Africa, that has to be.
What's up?
All right. So years ago on my channel, right? From watching.
I said, "What's in your?"
Go ahead.
Right. I went up to Beatty after hours, right? And I was like, can you explain why people are saying the sa.neter has never been deciphered, right? And I got it as a video on my channel, and while he was giving his explanation, I cut in and asked him a question, right? And then somebody on my channel said, they wished I would shut up because let the master teacher teach. And for one moment just now, I was listening to Dr. Beatty just hoping he would go on, and it got cut off. I was like, oh, that's what the brother was talking about. I'm listening to the master teacher teach, and then all of a sudden the thought gets stopped for something else.
I'll tell you what, I'll throw the whole clip up again. I threw it up before, but
it's all good. I'm just saying.
I know a lot of people ain't see it, but I'm gonna throw it up. I gotta play the J. The Dr. J came up there. I told you, all these great men in one goddamn spot, man. And it's all because my brother Reggie brought all these brothers together. Reggie did that. And Reggie said, "Sir, come on, man. We got all of these minds right here." And but Smalls looked like he's trying to do something. But there go Reggie right there.
Black man. Dr. Ben has said, "What's in your mind and your consciousness, black people?" So he offended. And then there's Alhambra. The whole secret societies, fraternities, sororities, brotherhoods are part of our culture.
And down the street is Malcolm, and this is Martin.
That's right. So that's why I said this is sacred ground.
That's right.
But I see Reggie as the offspring of Dr. J.
Yeah, he's mine.
Yeah, I see him as the offspring of Dr. J. I was about to say Smash, but I don't think, I could be wrong. I don't think Smash know as much history as Reggie when it pertains to just the history of Africa.
Not at all.
Now, when it comes to Kemet, I take nothing away from him because I didn't really see Smash go in too much on the history of Africa, but I've seen him go in all the way.
He doesn't do the
breaking down this metal netter.
He doesn't.
I don't think nobody is ready for Smash on the metal netter.
All I do is study the grammar a lot. I focus my time on the grammar. Definitely, Reggie. I shouldn't be mentioned when you saying names like Leonard Jeffries and the people on the screen. I'm just the homie who know this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Those are straight some great scholars. You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, Sankofa, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You have a question for the brother Smash?
You know, brother Smash, I saw you the other day going to a different use of a pronoun, the stative pronoun or something. Like that's brother Smash is doing it on a level like that's like chapter 22 in the book. Like I went to chapter 6 and put it down. So yeah, no real question. Just respect, family. Just respect. You know.
Yeah, I for your attempt to do your thing. I know the guys who got contention, they learning too, so they probably proud that they know something and probably want to point it out. But I'm just watching and peeping game. I'm just happy that you involved and got the passion to learn.
Yeah, respect, family. Respect.
Hey, Smash, you know Chris Weathers?
Chris who?
Withers.
Chris Weathers.
I mean, yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, I saw MK in the building. He said Smash don't want it with Chris Weathers. But then he said I'm only playing. I
don't really want it with Chris Weathers. Nah, I don't. Like, it's not like a competition. You know what I'm saying? But he often gives me good advice, and he ain't never, I have to show him some things sometimes too. But it's just like when you find somebody who know more than you about a subject you're interested in, it's best to keep them as an ally.
Right.
So you can learn from them. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you, Have you ever?
I want to be the other people who, you know what I'm saying, is on their.
I don't know who he is. Nah,
he on my show every day. We be building. Yeah.
Have you ever build with him about the term black?
Yeah, and the cold part is he initially was on the Asar Imhotep Ujahu side of the argument, saying that it means something like wetland, riparian land, like Infodigi was just saying it don't mean. But eventually he's seen a few things that said that the argument, that basically we all be working on hypothesis, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if you got holes in your theory that you're trying to present, people will poke holes in it. And once you got something solid and they can't poke no holes in it, then they have to say it could have went that way. But since back in the day, I've met hella Egyptologists. All them Egyptologists that they hired trying to discredit me is in my phone right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we be talking and chilling. And so it's cool. It's cool.
All right. Hey, Apostle, you have any questions?
No, I just asked y'all to name a book that George G.M. James wrote. I can think of one.
What's that one?
The Five Black Presidents.
George James wrote The Stolen Legacy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay. That's the most popular one, right?
Didn't he also write the Christ or something like that? Christ?
You talking about John Jackson? Or
I know George G.M. James, when he wrote The Five Black Presidents, nobody at that time, this is well before Barack Obama, this was early on, when he wrote that there were 5 black presidents already, nobody was kicking that information but him.
Is it right?
Yeah, George M. James wrote it. I guess it was
So
right. He
what?
named them.
So
Who they
what?
were.
Who are the 5 black presidents?
If I can remember, he named the obvious Lincoln, Jackson, Hardin, McKinley, and there was one more that he named. Even for years in charge of the FBI, grandmother was a black woman. He was adopted.
So he didn't name John Hanson or nothing?
I don't know. I know he named. He said the very first president was black before George Washington.
That's John Hanson he probably talking about.
That might be, but the very first one, he mentioned Harding, McKinley, Lincoln, and must have been that one. They all have black ancestry.
All right. Anybody got any questions for Sankofa, Reggie? Anybody? Okay. King J. I think you had a question for Sankofa, King J.
I did, but you know, I do want to, you know, apologize to the brother because I don't want to come off as like everybody Smash said. You know, I'm learning as well. You know, we all are learning, so it is kind of, you know. I apologize.
Hey, King J, how good are you with the tattoo? I see you be doing your tattoo thing.
I'm learning, and like you said, we all still learning. I'm a 5-year tattoo artist, so I'm good, but I can get better. You feel me? So it's always a process of growing.
You know how to put family faces on people?
Portraits? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you sure? You all right? Okay.
Well, yeah, I fly out to New York. Yeah, I mean,
how much that'll be about? How much that'll be about?
Portraits start off about 5 to 8, depending on, you know what I'm saying. But I'll work a deal for you. I would definitely do your free tattoo. So I'd never charge you.
No, I gotta pay you, brother. I ain't gonna let you come here for nothing like that. I gotta pay you.
It's publicity.
But Sankofa, in regards to your name, right? And I think Reggie might have mentioned it, right? Is it in reference to West Africa, or are you tying it to Egypt? Like, how does that work?
A little bit of both. The Ka as far as the personality, but just a different name on it. The Khazmik, you know, as far as the study of the science of the soul, the Ka, and then the Sankofa. But then the cosmic Sankofa. The Sankofa is usually a reference to like cultural, historical heritage, going back to what you have that worked for you, and then dismissing that which is detrimental in order to use that which benefited you to move you towards the future. But I look at it more towards going back to the origin of existence. You know, the existence that existed before manifested existence existed, and then bringing that energy into my life in order to move me forward.
Hey, Ryan, you're not even in my atmosphere, let alone am I spazzing on you.
Hey, Pasu, please don't call Ryan. I will let him loose on you, brother.
Yeah, please.
I will let Ryan. You see what he did to Yara. You see what he did to Yara. But you see what Ryan did to Yara, bro.
Yeah, well.
Don't make me call up Ryan now.
I think Yara fixed that up. By the end of it, Yara fixed that up.
You're a debate, Ryan?
I already did.
Where at?
On your channel.
Nah, not a real debate, right?
That was a real debate about Esau, about his ass.
Who won?
I won, as far as I'm concerned.
I knew you was going to say that. I knew y'all always win. Y'all win every debate.
So, sa.neter, one thing that you will find is that when meta-nature scholars will largely support each other. So there's not going to be any division, right? The only difference is when there are people who are saying that meta-nature has not been deciphered, or then we will come in. Or some people we may ignore. I'm not going to mention one of the people who we ignore that there's a meta-nature and then they want to separate hieratic from the meta-neter. I'm not going to get into any argument with that person. Let the person teach. But when it comes to walking museums, teaching children, and explaining to our seniors and other people with the language, we have great people that can do that, and then show that it was an African language, versus these other people who are in the fairy tale book, who I'm waiting to see. Zion Lex can teach Hebrew. Zion Lex has no problem. He's one of the better Hebrew demonstrators.
Yeah, he can teach meta-neter too, though, Reggie.
He learned meta-neter, but this is after years of being not nice to us.
Okay, I'm about to say something, and I hope my man Smash Rockwell and Reggie don't get mad at me, man. I got to swing with my ancestor,
Professor Williams.
Professor Walter Williams. Now, I'm just going to add this to it. I don't believe all of the meta-neter have not been deciphered. I believe some of it have been, but there's still a lot that I don't think have been deciphered. What do you say about that, Smash?
You don't know what the word decipherment means. See,
yes,
I mean, you know, let Reggie's saying a good point, so I'll let Reggie continue, then I'll try.
No, no, you are sharper. But sa.neter, you got to know what dictionary items mean. Dictionary words mean. Deciphering and translating means two different things. I'll stop. Go ahead, Smash.
I mean, you know, the base of the meta-neter has been deciphered, man. There's no way that they can play with that. There's no way we could be reading text and just making them words and then go to another text and it make perfect sense. How could they do that? That system would be harder than actually deciphering it. Putting together a fake system with thousands of texts to where the words all match up when we go read these different stories would be harder than just sitting there figuring it out. And so I have to fairy tale to what the elder says, though. Everything ain't figured out. We know that every single inkling of it ain't all worked out. It's like that with a lot of sciences.
Smash. Me, you, Reggie, Apostle, everybody up here. Our grandmothers was writing something, and the only one that know about it is them. And they was writing something, and they was understanding it. They the only ones, but they are no longer here. How can we now come along thousands of years later and say we know what they was talking about?
Fortunately, they left us a few tools because when people encroached upon their land, they would write the same stories in multiple languages. So the Rosetta Stone was a trilingual inscription, bro. 3 languages on it.
They shot the Rosetta Stone down.
Real quick, it got the same story, the same decree in 3 different languages. So it allows somebody who's doing that investigative work to say, okay, well, if we know it say the same thing, we could do that today. You could take a scribble-scrabble language, put English and then Spanish, and we could figure out what the words in the arbitrary language mean because we have the other 2 languages that show that these words are repeating in those languages. So that was a tool that they could use to figure out the glyphs. What was you saying
but
about?
There's people that say that the Rosetta Stone is fake, man. It's fakery.
I mean, you know, it's people that say a lot of stuff fake. I mean,
off the Rosetta Stone. They
a lot of
created in the garage.
There's a lot of I can't say you're wrong. There's people that say a lot of things. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no. Here's the thing: is when a person makes a claim like that and say other people say it was fake, that's what other people say. I hate when people come on and don't show where it's fake. Now, I've had, sa.neter has in his archives, I've had 2 or 3 conversations with Walter Williams when other people would not talk to him, right? Other people with meta-neter would not talk to him. I had 3 conversations with the elder. He loved to talk to me because he was trying to get me, right? And I respect it, and we are friends. We were friends, right? We were friendly to each other, right? Because he likes a good fight. He's a good debater. However, Walter Williams never showed anything that wasn't deciphered. He made a claim. He never showed us anything that says you can't decipher this. Now, there is cryptic meta-nature. I agree there is cryptic meta-nature, but he never showed that. If he would have showed that, then that would have been fine, but we would show all the things that weren't cryptic. And then to all the people who act like they love Walter Williams, well, I actually talked to him. We actually had good conversation. So it showed that I love Walter Williams. But I will say that he put his disagreement in his appendix. He didn't write a whole chapter. He simply put it in his appendix that the meta-nature wasn't deciphered, and then he gave an example that showed it was deciphered. We could go back to that, but why would someone bring up to Walter Williams to me when in my time and his time we actually talked about the disagreement?
Hey, yo, Sa, can I jump in and share my screen on this part? I got so I want to show.
Well, this is the show, brother. Of course.
I want to show my conversation with Dr. Beatty related to this question, right? And then I was looking for. I couldn't really get the exact all of what he was saying just because of time, but let me. I need about 2 minutes. Hold up.
So that was going to be my next question to you, Sankofa, about your because you alluded to it in your presentation as far as the new kingdom meta-nature not really being.
Well, look, is it Sharon or what's up?
Not sure.
Hold up. Let me do it again.
So is it the new kingdom meta-nature that's used on the Rosetta Stone? It's not Old Kingdom, I don't think, right? Or Middle Kingdom.
It's demotic.
It's demotic. So by your statement, that would mean that you're under the impression that the meta-nature has not been has been deciphered if it's based off of the demonic translation, correct?
I mean, yeah, I mean.
So,
Brother
y'all
Jay,
are right, but y'all messing up.
Hold up, wait. I did a whole lesson on.
You said what you said.
I did a whole lesson on how to read them. I can't say, oh, it's not been deciphered, but here's how you read them. That's like saying my name is an Egyptian name, but not. I think it's been deciphered.
Are you talking about a picture? Two people on the picture?
Man, how come my screen is not sharing? That's crazy.
But you said the decipherment is based off the demonic, right?
Khazmik, Sankofa?
No, that's what they messing up.
Okay.
I guess I got to do
Demotic is on there, but the hieroglyphic is on there too. But you're right, Sankofa. Yeah. You know, it was written in Hellenistic times.
Right. So this is man, I was listening to one of the people that blew up really fast, and he was saying that the hieroglyphs had never been translated. So I brought that to Dr. Beatty to see what he said about it. Now the volume is not that great. So can you hear it?
No, you got to go back out and show this and put the sound in. So do it again and share with the sound. So when you were sharing it, you shared it without the sound.
All right, hold up. Let me.
And I thought the Modic was brought in after the 25th dynasty with the Africans from the south. So I don't think it's just it was created in the Greek times, but we could talk about that. Am I wrong?
I thought the demonic came from the late Hieratic Alexandria.
The demotic script was made by the Nubians. Who won the battle?
I didn't know that.
You disagree, or you say?
Well, I don't know if we're not. The debate, the conversation was not like who did it, but when. So I think it's around 6 or 7 BC.
Well, this is what's gonna happen. They're gonna say, if you look, we look it up right now, they're gonna say it happened 10 years after the Nubians got out of power. So they're gonna say like 650,
Right.
They're gonna say Demotic come in at about 650 and Nubians fell off about 660. Somebody can look that up and then we can confirm right now. When the Demotic scripts start, they're gonna say about 660. But when we go into the text, what we find is that there's Demotic text that's older than what Wiki say, and then go back into the Nubian period.
Correct.
And we start to now we know the Nubians was champions with that script. You feel me? I mean, they even took it after. That was the last stage of Metal Nature we could find in the Demotic script.
But it say 650 smash, but it say Sayite period. Sayite.
So that's what I'm saying. So they took it 10 years. Go now ask Wiki, when did the Nubian period, when did the 25th dynasty end? They're gonna say 660.
Yeah.
So they want you to be like 10 years after that, they came with it. Nah, take that 10 years off. The Nubians came with that. I found texts that go back into the time
Don't
period.
mess with Smash Rockwell. Y'all say he don't know history. He don't do history. He does Metal Nature history very well, right? And that goes into real attestations. So, and then if you look at the Meroitic script and stuff like that, right? There's correlations between the way that the Nubians were writing, the Sudanese and Nubians, and the how can I say, and what was happening in Egypt. But we can have those conversations on any show, right?
That ought to be dope. What they say, King Jay? Thank you, man.
It says it actually is concurrent. It runs until 656 BC. So
see, and so now what they say the Nubian time period was.
You're saying it's an adaptation that the Nubians brought.
I put that forward. But scholarship doesn't.
I mean, of course, they don't want the African. That's why. That's actually the reason that one of the reasons that Tony Browder, or one of the contributions that Brother Browder brought to the community, was his excavation of the 25th dynasty tomb. You know, and the impact, or not the impact, but the relics that they left and what they did, and then the way in which they honored the Egyptian culture. So yeah, that 25th dynasty, the Kushite kingdom, everything that kind of, I mean, that makes sense. They come in and then a new script comes in because they adjusted it or adapted it to their style.
Well, I don't got direct evidence, but I just that them time periods coming too quick, and I found texts that go back a little bit into their time period. But we know how they handled the glyphs when dealing with the Romans later. You feel me? The whole Meroitic script being based on the system of hieroglyphs.
Since essentially the conversation, essentially Dr. Beatty said New Kingdom hieroglyphs have definitely, I said this in my presentation earlier, New Kingdom, there we go.
Is more pronounced. And that's the dynamic of what we call Ptolemaic hieroglyphs. And Ptolemaic hieroglyphs have to be essentially learned on their own. Because primarily in Middle Egyptian, what we call alternatives are primarily glyphs at the ends of words that are used for their semantic intent. But what Ptolemaic hieroglyphs brings is that they bring a sense that each individual hieroglyph can be used in different ways. It can be used for a continent, or it can be used for a principle. You know, and it operates. Ptolemaic hieroglyphs has to be learned and understood on its own, because there are other principles operating that are more complex, and then they have a proliferation of more glyphs. So I believe
basically that if you want to, it's a long joint. I don't want to take up all the time, but he said there's a proliferation of new glyphs. And what he meant by that, or later on in the conversation, he's going to go into the development of new glyphs in order to represent, I said this earlier in my presentation, in order to represent the sounds that foreigners were bringing into the land. And so when it comes to the decipherment of late Egyptian, there's 100% portions of late Egyptian that is not translated. But Middle Egyptian, the classical Egyptian, that's set and done.
But I just heard, that's correct what you said. But earlier I heard somebody say something about the New Kingdom, and late Egyptian is going to be after, you know, way after that. But yeah, you that's facts. It's so much. If you look in the late Egyptian, bro, it ain't even really worth looking into for me. I'm like, man, this is like looking in the Greek hieroglyphs.
Well, see, the interesting thing about it, late Egyptian is because they had control over the priest, they was choking them out, right, to make themselves relevant to Greeks. And so when you go into the Dendar temple, right, well, you will see the one of the proper kind of coronations of a king, where they're making the Greek king the Greek person a pharaoh, right? So you will see things there that would be more secret, right? In ancient Egypt, as far as the coronation process, you would see it in late Egyptian, and but listen, and then look, Smash has done really great work on the Meripata stela, right? Which deals with which what people were trying to say meant Israel, and Smash has done really great work on that. That it may not say Israel at all. It may say Syria, and it couldn't be Israel at all because there's no L. So if there's no L in Israel, we're talking about something totally different, right? And so Smash has done some great work. You can go on his channel on that. That's original scholarship, right? The field is wide. All we want people to do is see the earliest African writing, right? And what they said. And you know, sa.neter is trying to get me to give you a conversation that I had with a Egyptologist, and I'm you know, she did not want it to be posted after she gave us permission to post it, and so I have to talk to sa.neter about that. What do you say, sa.neter? What do you want to do? You want it? Okay.
Of course I want it, man.
Let me ask Smash a question real quick.
This is
Smash. During the periods that Nubia or Kush or the Hekakasu were in control in Egypt, do you classify those periods as Kemet control, or do you foreign control Kemet?
Because you said Nubia, Kush, and Hekakasu when they were in control. So I look at those periods as different, but when you talk about Nubia, I think that term is kind of like a weaponized misnomer term that they use. It was really just a region of gold. But the people south more of that region, they were a real polity called Kush. And I see them, there's a lot of evidence to make me believe that they were like the fundamentalists of Egyptian culture and tradition. Like, what I mean is, they said the home of Amen, one of their chief deities, was in Napata. Napata being in the heartland of Kush, you see what I'm saying? And they even would go down to Gebel Barku or whatever and say that this is where Amen was born. So they even in their mythology showed that there was a connection between Kush and them. But the way that Kushites would come in would be similar to the way the Almoravids came into Al-Andalus, or what have we, the Iberian Peninsula. I know I probably said that wrong, but the Iberian Peninsula, when the Almoravids came in, like, what is y'all doing? Y'all not doing this right. And snatched up shop and made them strictly fundamental Islamic type of tradition. Well, that's how the Kushites seem to have came in because of a few things. They said the Kushites, some of the best recorded text they found was Kushite text. And then that, well, I should say best well preserved, but they also would go in, and they were like some of the first Egyptologists. They would go in and start retranslating old text. So the Shabaka stone, you heard of the Shabaka stone? Yeah, that Shabaka stone, if you read it, it actually say it was retranslated from a worm-riddled text that they found back in the day. And so the Kushites, I wouldn't see them like that. If you talk about, you said Hekakasu, I understand you're talking about Avaris. I think that's your reference to the rulers of Avaris. And that wouldn't have been considered Kemet. We got a document right? So this is a new understanding of what Kemet actually means. Throughout the time periods, the name would change, and eventually it became the whole of the kingdom. But during the on Kamos' Stella, he says they have the land of the Asiatic, and we have Kemet. But guess where they was at? They was in Avaris and ruling all of Tamehu, which would be Lower Egypt. So if he said they have the land of the Asiatics and we have Kemet, and he down there by Thebes, then to him, Kemet was not all of Egypt. And so that question would you got to address it with the different time periods. So.
Okay. And the Hikakasu, they had control for like 300 years, right?
Yeah, Hikakasu did have control for a long time, but if you think about it, Hikakasu is really only the rulers, or the Hikakasu is really only the rulers, and the people they rule was called Aamu. So it's 6 Hikakasu that they talk about, but we find one more in our research. The first Hikakasu was actually a Nubian from the land of Mijat. The first time they used that term Hikakasu, which means Hakasu, ruler of foreign lands. The first time it was used for a person from Nubia, what we call Nubia, the land of Mijat. So let us know that's the rulers and not the actual people.
So the Hyksos are not just the Hikakasu. That represents different communities.
That's a misnomer, though. That came from Josephus. He said shepherd kings. He was like mistranslating Manito and said shepherd kings. And that's where they got Hikakasu. I mean, that's where they got Hyksos from.
Right.
So think about it. The Hike and Hyksos come from Hika, and the Sos come from what they're trying to say, Kasu. Hikakasu, they just say Sos. So Kasu really meant just foreign land. And the Hike part really just meant ruler. It wasn't about a people. It was about the people who ruled them people. Their leaders. That's like calling some people the presidents. We ain't gonna call a nation of people the presidents. That's only the person who lead them. So if they say, okay, they have the presidents was wild, we know the presidents was. The people who led the nation was wild. But I don't want to filibuster. I just, you feel.
No, that's good.
That's good.
Just trying to get understanding.
Well, what I would like to add, people with Smash said eloquently, Hekakasu is not a particular one group of people. It's a confederation of different groups that were tired of the particular rule, right? And they took it over for a time period. But the real important part of it is that they did not worship El, nor did they worship Yahweh. Some of them worship. No, so there was no El and Yahweh worship in Egypt. So there could be no Exodus based on El or Yahweh. None. Because the people there did not worship El or Yahweh.
I agree.
Reggie,
Hebrews don't worship El or Yahweh either.
Well, but I found something in the text. Oh, go ahead, King Jay.
You got to be careful about the Elephantine Jews. There was some Yah worship down there.
They're too late. They're too late.
How they get down there?
Right through the Persians, sir.
Yahweh is a misspelling of a word.
There's a theory that they were taken by the Assyrians into Egypt has mercenaries. That's why there's a military there's a theory that it was a military compound for that the Assyrians set up when they were in charge.
The Persians, they were Persian mercenaries, and so they came in conflict, and it actually hurts the Bible, because the Bible says that you should never go back to that land. And they did go through it when the Persians freed them with Babylon. What happened was Babylon took the southern kingdom. The Assyrians took the northern kingdom. We never heard about those groups of people that they took. They took the Judah, Yahud people into Babylon, right? And then the Persians defeated Babylon, and then the Persians they also had control over parts of Egypt, and they sent mercenaries. They're ordered in a military group, but that's much later. My major point was that El and Yahweh, there's no evidence that those people, I mean those gods or deities were worshipped in Egypt, and so anybody that left was not worshiping El or Yahweh, and that is the history.
The fact is, El is worshipped by the Canaanites. Nobody said the Canaanites were in Egypt. Yahweh is a mispronunciation. Is no such thing of a God of the Hebrews called Yahweh. There's no E in Hebrew, so you cannot get that. It's Yahweh.
You're playing word.
I'm not playing words. I'm giving you direct translation.
You know when you're speaking it rather than.
I'm giving you direct. The tetragram is YHWH. The only letter can go there is YAHAWA.
Any vowel can go there.
It's only one vowel in there. Only vowel. Hebrew doesn't have vowels. They got two vowels.
The shashu.
Every language got to have vowels, bro. You
Yeah,
gotta write down the vowels.
There's two vowel consonants, man.
Did you say vowel consonants?
Consonants, right.
You're not.
The very first letter can substitute as a vowel, and the ion, the eyeball, the eye, can be substituted for a vowel. But there's no E, O, U letters in Hebrew. Paleo.
Anybody can pull up a source and it could talk about the shashu of Yahweh, right? Right, and that's how we pronounce it, right? That
translation. I don't care. That's how you pronounce it or not.
Right, but see, you want to defy scholarship with your prophets, your whatever you're doing, your prophecy, your whatever you're doing.
You know, Reggie, I don't even want to talk to you, man.
You don't have to talk to me, sa.neter. Why do you keep him on the show? He's not adding any information, but
because I'm important, man. I'm important.
So look, back just really fast. Wait, really fast. I wanted to share. I'm trying to share, but it's not happening. In reference to learning, like Dr. Beatty right here, Dr. Beatty, Dr. Carr, and Dr. Karen, I think that's her name. They set up this space where you can go in and get a plethora of Black history information, as well as learning sa.neter. As you know, from Dr. Beatty, you can learn Black history from Dr. Carr. Same type of history course that he teaches in college, they teach here online. You just go ahead, it's narrative.com. This was if you probably missed this in the beginning. If you missed the beginning part of my presentation, I showed everybody, like, if you want to really go and hit it and learn the way that, you know, how Dr. Beatty teaches it is right there. Dr. Beatty, in that conversation that I was playing on my channel, he said that, you know, he came to teach at Howard, you know, not because of the prestige or the finances, because it wasn't there, because he was at Chicago before, but he came so that we could teach the community. That's why he did it, right? And so then, and so in that same spirit, you know, they set up this this venue for other brothers and sisters to come and learn through. So I needed to give that shout out right there to let you know that there's a different space where you can go and get a better understanding, even communicate with them on certain days at certain times. So that's that.
Yeah,
and
that's beautiful. Okay. That resources it actually helps people a lot on education of Africa. And so what we're having this problem with, this whole thing was on African culture, and there's going to be some conflicts because other people in other places. But please, you can have your own show on sa.neter's studios if you want to have a conversation, you Hebrews or Israelites. But this is not that show. It's simple as that. And so you muddy the water. But what we do is we actually show facts with sources.
Well, you ain't showing me no facts with your sources. About Yahweh?
Oh, anybody.
All right. It's time to go. Hey, yo, Sankofa, Reggie, and Apostle. Y'all gonna have to come together and stop the craziness, man.
I'm telling you, I'm trying.
Come on, Reggie. The brother is trying to be cool with you. Reggie, be cool with the brother. He's the elder, man.
No, I don't care about that. He's disrespectful. He cuts in. He even cuts in with you, right? He's disrespectful to our community, right? So this is not a Bible show at all. So why you have
well, the brother don't, he means well, Reggie. Reggie, come on, he means well.
No, he doesn't. Nobody.
You don't have to take up for me, man. I mean, he can have his feelings. No. Everybody got them, even the ones that wear their drawers backwards.
Why are you going there? Like that's what you pay attention to in your old.
All right, y'all. Hey, Sankofa, close us out so you can have a good video here, brother. We don't want
to light and love, appreciation to Brother Sa for allowing this.
Put him on the big screen, Sa. He's closing out.
Yeah, it's all right. They see the end.
Yeah, appreciation to Brother Sa for allowing me to give this presentation. I hope it was a benefit to the brothers and sisters that did not know this information. Thank you for Dr. Reggie. Thank you, Brother Smash. Thank you, Brother Apostle. Thank you for all of the other brothers that came up to converse. Appreciated the conversation. And I hope that all brothers and sisters that are watching the channel learn, grow, evolve, adapt their consciousness to higher truths, deal with cognitive dissonance in order to align their mind, in order to align their life with the higher truth. Ashe.
Strike 3. You are out.